I think this question is going to be easy for both Lou and I to ask. What is your favorite Easter egg in any of the properties? Because I think Lou and I have both experienced everything in the U.S. and on the cruise ship, but we haven't made it over to Paris or Hong Kong yet.
Oh man, that's unfortunately a hard question because there's just so many of them. I personally love the Easter eggs that have worked backwards. From the park development and from this unique collaboration that have found their ways back into the films. And even though it's small, it just shows that as Dave said, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we can continue to create and expand the universe. So for me, plus my love of vehicle design, and that's my background. So the Quinjet, designing that specifically for the storyline for Avengers Campus to be more forward-looking and aspirational and high-tech, and then seeing that in Avengers Endgame was definitely a moving experience.
Yeah, because you guys have, it's been a back and forth, like they were saying, where it's, which came first, the chicken or the egg, the parks or the movies, and you guys are really hitting that stride where you're both working in tandem to get excellent product that translates to the guests around the world or the lucky guests like us that get to go into the parks, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Obviously, the success of Marvel Studios has just made so many more people aware of these characters, and they love these characters. But for some people, the park experience, and we treat this, we got this from our first meetings with some of the Marvel New York and Marvel Publishing team was like, they treat every comic like it's someone's first comic, and we treat our attractions like that. You can go in and not know any of the characters, or you can have this, deep backstory and knowledge. So we try to work on all those levels. So there's definitely Easter eggs that, having the clock in the queue of web slingers set to 616.
Yes.
So that's for our Marvel fans. But then in Epcot, we have so many Xandarian logo designs that are based off of the old Energy Pavilion graphics. So, for our Epcot fans, they're looking for those as well. So,
I love this. I like to look at it from a sort of a 30,000 foot view in this iterative evolution of storytelling that really goes back to Walt wanting his two-dimensional movies to be able to be experienced in 3 dimensions in Fantasyland and Disneyland. And over time, the attractions have not just become more technologically advanced, but they are more interactive, they're way more participatory. And what we're starting to see now is this next level of personalization of the experience for guests, right? We're seeing it in places like Galaxy's Edge, places like Avengers Campus, where we can live our own Marvel story. Can you talk about how that is part of the development mindset and sort of this evolution of the guest experience?
Absolutely, and that's something that we've been championing for the last, couple of decades now that I've been at Imagineering, where how much interactivity can we layer on, how much personalization, so that it is has the biggest impact on the guest experience. We treat every attraction, and this has been since the very beginning, we treat every attraction like we're building a set for a film where every guest is the camera walking through, right? So that's already like trying to personalize how that experience gets you get taken on. I will tell you that our biggest challenge and opportunity, there's the expectations around personalization, everybody's device and everybody's computer savvy about how life should work and how we should personalize your day. That expectation comes to the park. So it's not just about elevating, but it's meeting guest expectations, and then where we can, how can we use that as a story motivator to push on the technologies to take them further. And what's great, because these stories exist in our world, having your device or having technology or having things that are of our world or that we've seen in the film that enhance that that sense of perception that I believe that I am seen. I believe that I'm part of this world. I believe that I'm in the middle of the story, that there are stakes in this. And those are conversations that we have in all of our brainstorms. And just going back to that challenge, the challenge is we also want to deliver that to as many people as possible. So that tug of war between personalization and capacity, because if it's not, the trade-off, as we all know, is just longer and longer lines, and that's not a good guest experience either. So,
Well, even something simple like exiting It's a Small World or the queue of Rock and Roller Coaster, what Magic Band Plus now is going to offer in terms of how you might be able to have it. Because when you see your name up on a screen somewhere and you feel like Disney's talking to me, this character's talking to me, there's something remarkable and memorable about that too.
Yeah, and I think that's what's, this universe is all about the characters, and we want to play a role alongside them. We watch them on screen. We either want to be like them, hang out with them, be trained by them. So that's why our live entertainment partners, it's that video of the little kid with Spider-Man. That is how we can personalize stories the best, right? There's a bunch of technology ways to try to achieve that, but it's still
like that no tech moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, the interactivity and the personalization, the gauntlets for web slingers, how did that technology, the attraction and the gauntlet meld together? Because that's amazing, and I feel like it's underutilized, but I get great scores when I use mine.
So that was a great example of our interactive team, our attraction development team, and then the premise of having web and the web kids that are inventing new technology to be able to have this contraption that can feel like a prototype that just enhances your attraction. And the reason that all those things work seamless in the story are based in those realities that I was just talking about, of like stories set in our world and what you want to believe, because that would be potentially harder in a different universe or a different IP, right? So those are the kinds of things when I say, when we see all of Tony Stark's tech in the films, like we just believe, like, of course, that's the next generation. That's just one. It's a little bit out of reach, but I can imagine that that's where we're going, and those are the things we try to deliver in the parks.
Yeah, you guys are doing an excellent job. WDI is essentially Tony Stark. You guys are doing the job of Tony by creating everything, and taking example the Tower of Terror and Disney California Adventure and turning that into Mission Breakout, which is, I love Tower, but Mission Breakout took it to a whole new level. I will wait the 3 hours for that without the lightning lane. And after Monsters After Dark is something, when you announce the Christmas for Cosmic Rewind, it's like, if it's anything Monsters After Dark, I'll wait every day for that.
Well, thank you. I don't know if there's a question in there, but I appreciate it. You're setting me up better than I. No, we love a couple things. I'll talk to we love and know that details are noticed, so we try to think very hard about the backstories and the whys and making sense and the continuity and consistency of it holding together as a story. And even though this is, especially with the multiverse, this juggernaut of a story thread holding the globe of attractions together, but that's what makes it fun for all of us, and we're hoping that everybody sees the fun and the outcome, because there's just layering on top of layering. One thing, I'm going into tangents now, but one thing that if you look at Avengers Campus in both California and in Paris, the goal was to bring together a diverse group of heroes, and that meant the idea of the campus was a diverse group of buildings, and experiences, but it meant, from a design point of view, that it was like every address had its own entire visual development, graphic development, material boards. Like, it was a whole land of design just within that slice of each one of those. So that's not answering your question, but it's just that we love to dive deep on all of these things and are happy that it's noticed.
I know you're short on time, so I have one last question for you. A very wise man once talked about the fact that with great power, which is what you have, comes great responsibility, because when you're talking to Disney fans, Marvel fans, and Star Wars fans, there is this connection that we have to these characters and these stories.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, because I love that I heard a number of you on the panel use this word. We want guests to feel a certain way, and it's a very emotional experience for us as guests when we get to walk into Avengers Campus or get on one of these attractions. Talk about we're talking about the technology and talk about the integration of emotion.
Yeah, no, there's emotion and how we're using it to progress our story, and then there's the emotion that everyone has when they watch these films, read these comics, and know these stories, or know our parks, that they are already preset with, right? And how we can tap into that and utilize, but also I'll also say that we choose my words here. I'll also say that we recognize that pressure of, you have a universe that has 7,000 characters. We have to pick our lanes, and we have to pick what's right for the park experience, and that's very different than maybe what you would do with a film or what you would do with a comic, because there are definitely characters that allow us to use our kit of parts, use our tools and technologies to deliver those emotions through magic, through illusion, through I'm thinking of like Doctor Strange. In the park, we can go places that we couldn't go with, let's say, Captain America, and especially throughout the first couple of phases of the MCU. Steve Rogers was just such an icon. He was larger than life with the shield, and you saw that, and it represented so much emotion. But to your point about Tony Stark, Steve Rogers doesn't come to us with anything other than his shield and his point of view, right? Like, he doesn't give us tools to create vehicles or create architecture or something like Tony does. So we have to lean into not only just the characters that resonate with our fans, but what we can deliver experiences around. But again, that's why live entertainment is so crucial to us, because as Michael Cerna was saying, the diversity of the universe is so powerful for all of us, everybody feeling like they're included, feeling like they can see themselves in this universe. I love, my son is adopted from China, and watching Shang-Chi with him, and we all lived in Shanghai for several years, so we picked up the language, and the whole beginning of that film, like having him see Shang-Chi as this icon for him was incredible. And the more we can deliver those kinds of emotions in the park to make sure people feel seen, that's the power, and that's what gets us most excited.